So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Maria Fortes, the Director of Practice Heroes here at CareStack, and let her get this party started.
Let's get the party started. You know, Nicole, thank you. It's always fun to co-host our events with you. You just make it more fun. And I'm so glad that you're my partner in crime, as I stated, right? So good evening and happy new year, everyone. Can you believe it? It's 2022. Thank you so much for investing your time with us this Thursday evening. And we're happy for you to take part in our 7th series of From the Ground Up. My name is Maria Fortes, as Nicole stated, and I am the director of the Practice Heroes program at CareStack. On tonight's From the Ground Up, we have amazing guests joining us. That's Melissa V, Christina V, and Medina of GetVWire from Northern Cal. Hey. So I got to say, because I am from Southern Cal originally, now in Massachusetts. So GetVWire offers a full concierge virtual assistant services. They can also customize their services to fit your needs. They offer a wide range of services from insurance billing and posting. Oh my gosh, appeal questionable claims, like who's got time for that? But they do. Insurance verification, credentialing with insurance companies, because you know that takes a long time. Phone scheduling support, and they offer 40 years of expert knowledge. Several of the ladies here attending tonight also worked in the dental space, so they know firsthand what happens in the practice day to day. The GetVWire team will be providing valuable insights on why a virtual assistant can be the right fit for your startup or existing practice. They will be dispelling the age-old myths of virtual assistants, and they will share everything you need to know about it and how they can benefit you, your practice, and your patients. So our goal today or tonight is that you will come away with an understanding, knowledge, and pearls of wisdom, if you will, that you can apply to be more successful in your business. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our team at GetVWire.
Hi guys, I'm Melissa. Thank you, Maria, for that awesome intro, and Nikki and CareStack for having us this evening. We're really excited to be here and share some positive key reasons of why you should hire a virtual assistant. We understand that hiring a full-time employee isn't always efficient, and sometimes part-timers don't offer quality and consistency for your practice to grow. Well, there's hope and a solution for that problem. Myself, Medina, and Christina, we are GetVWire. A lot of people ask us, what is GetVWire? In short term about us, we are the future of dentistry. We deliver top-notch concierge billing and virtual assistants to help your dental practice to grow. There are so many misconceptions of outsourcing and working with virtual assistant. I would like to go over 5 myths that I hear all the time. Myth 1, virtual assistants are only good for administrative tasks. I find this not true at all. I always look at it as if the work can be done off the computer, virtual assistants can take care of it. They can work on marketing, post on your social media, do follow-up care calls, present treatment plans, or even schedule appointments. For sure, administrative tasks can be done by a virtual assistant, but it's more to just that. A virtual assistant can do the same thing that your office staff can do. I can think like the only thing a virtual assistant can't do is bring you a coffee physically, but our staff, you know, our virtual staff, they love using Uber Eats and DoorDash. So now we can add coffee to the virtual assistant list. I just added that.
That's great.
Myth number 2, virtual assistants are only affordable for big companies. I always hear that office employees are more productive than virtual assistants, but I find this false because there's several studies that shows working remotely helps employees be more productive. Virtual assistants are more affordable than hiring an in-house. There's a study I read recently by Stanford that working remotely has increased productivity rates by 13%. That's crazy. Dental offices can save over $30,000 a year from outsourcing eligibility and billing alone. For example, our clients who pays the lowest membership plan of $1,900 per month is the same as hiring someone to work full-time at $9 per hour. We have a doctor that has no front office, and our team was able to help him at a very affordable rate rather than someone in-house. All right, let's go to the next myth. Virtual assistants are difficult to work with. I
And you know it.
Virtual assistants are more flexible than traditional employees. And this is especially true during COVID. COVID pandemic has been a challenge for most dental practice, but it also proved that work can be done remotely in the comfort of our own space. Remote setup is just as effective as working in an office due to today's technology and communication apps like Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, and so much more. We also have virtual assistants that work different time zones. So if you guys are where Maria is, Eastern time, our staff, our virtual staff can start at that time. I'm in California Pacific Standard Time, so we can start before your office opens or when your office opens Pacific Standard Time. See, this is the beauty of living in the tech world. At GetVWire, we are always looking at the future, getting comfortable with change and where things are going. So the next myth, sharing sensitive information with your virtual assistant is a security risk. This is so important. Our number one priority is HIPAA compliance and security, and we take this very seriously. Whether you are working with a virtual assistant or not, always remember that data security is important in any type of business. That's why before you begin to work with anyone, always enforce a set of security policies. By working with an agency, you can be confident of security. So if you choose a good agency, your virtual assistant will be held to higher standards of security. And last but not least, myth number 5, virtual assistant can't be trained. In anything that we do, guys, we all have a learning curve. Like say, for instance, you're a dentist, you went to school to learn as a dentist. It's the same thing that applies to a virtual assistant. Virtual assistant can be trained and they can gain the experience, skills, and knowledge to help your dental practice grow. See, in the corporate world, we have desks next to our coworkers, and we can always learn from them, in person. And even though a virtual assistant is not there physically, technology has given us so many opportunities and options to communicate and get that proper training. I have a team member, well, actually a few team members, that comes with no experience in this industry. And I myself is a walking testimony. But I can say this, we have a great training system. Virtual assistants can be trained. So guys, the best part with all of this and working with the virtual assistant is now you get to delegate different tasks. It will free up your time to focus on patient care or filling up your calendar, and also more time to focus on important tasks that will help your dental practice to grow. I say take advantage of it. And with that being said, I will pass it on to Christina that's going to share what virtual assistants do and how to hire them. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. That was great. Hi, guys. I'm Christina. I'm going to share with you some tips on how to find the right virtual assistant. This is important because you want someone who fits within your culture of your business. Your virtual assistant or your VA will need to collaborate on projects with peers and communicate, delegate tasks. So it's important that you hire someone who will embrace the mission and the goals you're aiming for. Decide on what you need help with and set clear expectations and deadlines, and you'll want to provide your VA with the tools they need in order to complete these tasks. And because we work virtually, it's really important to keep all channels of communication open at all times. Once you found your VA, you'll want to set up an onboarding meeting, and this is when you'll review expectations, go over office policies or orders of operations, service forms. Next is integrating remote access, creating logins and admin access to your practice management softwares. Introduce your staff to your new VA, especially since they will all be working closely together. Lastly, you'll confirm the launch date so your VA can get started. Yes, so there are wide ranges of different types of virtual assistants. When you think of a virtual assistant, you think of an executive assistant or a VA to help you with their sales and marketing. There's virtual assistants for coaching, training, and some hire for HR purposes, payroll, or any back office duties. But did you know that you can have a dental professional as a VA? The best kinds are the ones you can find at GetVWire. What is a dental virtual assistant? We assist with anything that has to do with your front office at your dental practice. So as you know, working at the front office, it requires a multitude of tasks that require fast responses. As a dental virtual assistant, we can assist with a boatload of tasks, from scheduling appointments, checking eligibility, doing follow-up calls, billing, claim submission, posting insurance payments, training, treatment planning, the list goes on. We can even join in on your morning huddles.
Wow.
So, yes.
So ladies, I know that we wanted to hold off towards the end for questions, but I have somebody who actually is asking a question only because they have to leave. So
Okay.
yes, so I hope you don't mind if I ask this question
No.
to them.
Yeah, sure.
They want to know that, so we're on a different software. How do you train people, your virtual assistants, on different practice management software, if you will?
That's a really great question. So we have, teams that specialize on just open dental, one that just works on Dentrix. So we usually hire someone that's been in the industry and has the experience with that software, several actually. And we're able to, and that's a great thing about working as a team together, right? Because now you get to collaborate with one another and learn from each other and how to navigate the practice management system. So at GetVWire, at least, I can speak for GetVWire, we can work with all practice management systems. And if we need to, we on our end, we're the ones that reach out to, like for example, CareStack, to get the training for all our teams so that we can serve the dental office. So it can be done. And that's one less thing that the practice owner has to worry about. Now you don't have to worry about training someone on how to use your practice management system, because the VA that you're hiring, they already have that training. So they're trained on how to use the phones, they're trained on how insurance works, they're trained on how to use your practice management system. So they're only assigned to your office based on the practice management that you use.
Got it.
I hope that helps.
And yes, and the same doctor is asking, but what if there's a learning curve, perhaps? What happens then? What's, like, I guess, the time frame? I think that there is a sense of urgency, obviously, because a lot of our audiences tonight are either, startups, de novos, or people had just acquired a practice.
Yeah.
And so they're asking, like, what if they're in a fast time frame that's just left yesterday?
Yeah. So we don't put any virtual assistant out to, a practice until we know that they're ready. And what I mean by ready is be able to schedule appointments, post insurance payment, really be comfortable to use the system. And if they have a question, of course, they'll check back with our teams that have years of experience using the software. But again, you're not going to get it. Everyone that is assigned to an office, once we put an agent out, it's basically us saying they went through all our protocols, all our training, and they passed all the tests before we even put them out to start working with the practice. So
okay,
that's
great.
One thing, peace of mind, knowing that, because I get it. I worked in a dental office for over 20, I don't know, I'm giving out my age now, but I know how hard it is, because you're running a practice and you have to train someone how to use, for example, CareStack or Open Dental. And sometimes you don't have that time to try and learn. And another thing too, that what's great about working with a virtual assistant that has experience with the practice management system is they can also help the existing team. So if they don't know how to do something, sometimes our teams, because for us, it's more important to do it right from the beginning so that it's not a lot of mistakes that we have to fix at the end. So sometimes, we just tell them like, hey, instead of clicking on this, click on this, and this is how you enter the information. Because our goal is to make sure everything is run efficiently and very smooth for both you and our teams. So,
Right.
yeah.
The doctor says thank you. And don't forget, team, if I didn't get to say this to everybody on tonight's event, is that we are holding off until the end to have you ask your questions to our lovely team members at GetVWire. Thanks, Medina.
Pleasure.
All right.
Okay, so I was saying that we can even join your morning huddles. We have many clients who we do morning huddles with and go over the schedule and all of that. So our dental VAs at GetVWire all have years of experience working in the dental field, so we understand that every practice is like a family. Short story, one of our clients bought her first practice right before the pandemic. So if you can imagine the thoughts that were going through her mind, she was stressed and worried about her overhead costs, afraid of losing her practice. GetVWire was able to support her throughout that difficult time. We tackled aging reports, made collection calls, and just keeping that constant communication open with her helped motivate her and keep her in positive spirits. And currently her practice is thriving, and we're still by her side supporting her as her practice grows. So we don't do just admin work. We build that emotional connection because it's important to us. We like to say that we are like an extension to your family. So thank you all for your time. And I'm going to pass this on to Medina, who will go more in depth about what VAs can do for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So who do, virtual assistants help? So for example, like who does GetVWire help and how exactly do they help? What are some of the skills that practice owners are looking for, or what is the most requested service that can be outsourced? And these are all valid questions, but I want to take it a little bit further. Think of the VA as an industry, not just a title. So titles are not really that important to us because a lot of people call us virtual assistants, executive assistant, front office assistant. At GetVWire, we have the term we're support ninjas that we throw around with each other. But at the end of the day, it's about completing the task. That's what's really important to us because our business depends on it. Just full transparency, a lot of the time, we don't get paid until the task is complete. So titles are not necessarily important. It's the industry that you want to look at. And many feel that the VA industry is made up of nothing but admin work, right? And you've learned that from Melissa and Christina. That couldn't be further from the truth. The industry is very diverse, just like any business. There's people here at GetVWire, their background is in HR. We have people that their backgrounds in IT, who have experience with sales and marketing and branding, and even technology. So don't think you are only hiring a VA for just admin work to check your emails and answer your phone. Again, the point is focus on the industry and what it does to help a lot of companies and then how it can help dental offices. One of the most important and overlooked benefit of outsourcing and working with a virtual assistant is getting back your time. Now, time is one of your most precious commodity, right? So when you partner with a virtual assistant, like Melissa was saying, you can delegate tasks. So you can use that time to focus on creating the perfect patient experience. And that's really important, especially now more than ever. My favorite quote by Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's the mindset that we need to start coaching our teams when it comes to patient care. Now, I always tell clients to think of your patients having a scale, right? And the scale kind of measures the excitement level. It's out of 10 when they find you. They're excited to go on your website. What does your website look like? Does your team have time to even look at the website and see if it needs to be updated? When they call the office, when you answer the phone, does it still stay out of 10 or does it drop down to an 8 or 9 because the person on the other line seems distracted and they don't seem like they have the time to answer the phone? Mm-hmm. When the patient walks through the door, does it still stay up at an 8 or a 10, above an 8, or does it drop down? Because as we all know, it gets really crazy in a dental office. There's a lot of things happening, and sometimes you don't give that patient that greeting when they walk through the door. So these are all the things that we have to think about. Yes, Maria, I see your hand.
At 2 o'clock. when I used to work in the dental office, I'm like,
Yeah,
I had to go like get another Starbucks, if you will. So
yeah, you're burned out.
I'm glad that you're saying that your team does this, because it's what a benefit, right? For
Yes.
the doctor or team members to get back hours in the day, if you will.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of, at least from my experience, a lot of the people that I meet when I go into different offices, the staff that are in the front, they love what they do. They love interacting with the patients. And part of the reason why they're burned out is because they have so much tasks that they need to complete. And they just can't do it because it's not enough time that they get during the day. So, these are all the things that virtual assistants can do with GetVWire. For example, I'm gonna share a story about one of the doctors that we work with. So he has a front office, doesn't have a lot of experience. He also has a hygienist and an assistant. But again, because they're so busy, a lot of the time, they don't have time to add things like fluoride on the schedule, or checking that the patient's eligible for fluoride, or if they can have sealants, or even making notes if the patient's due for probing, or if they're due to update their med history updates. Those are very important, exactly. They seem like low-hanging fruits, but these are the things that can help increase your patient care, improve your patient care, and then also increase your production and collections, because we all know that production alone doesn't pay the bills, right? So we have to increase our production and therefore increase our collections. So let me share some of the tips just to kind of give you an idea of how GetVWire's virtual assistants work. So, time management is really important for a lot of virtual assistant, because we know that it's one of the most difficult things to manage in customer service. And why is that, right? It's because we're very limited in the amount of time that we get during the day to take care of our patients. So we have to be smart about how we manage our time. One of the tips that we share here around at GetVWire, I know it's kind of crazy to hear it, is what we tell each other: stop multitasking. Now imagine working in a dental office and I walk in and it's like, Maria, you can't multitask. I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen today. Right? It's crazy, because when you're working in a dental office, there's so many moving pieces all at once. So we're asked to embrace multitasking. But when you're working with a virtual assistant, it's a little bit different, because they're hired and they're assigned a specific task. And so now they're just focused on that task. So for example, here at GetVWire, we have an eligibility team, and that's all that they focus on. It's just checking eligibility, getting breakdowns, and updating the practice management system with the patient's insurance information. We also have a billing team. That's all they focus on, is submitting claims, appealing claims, following up on the payments, making sure they get paid on time. And then if you're on the phones, that's all you're focusing on, is that phone call. So when the patient calls, you have that time to listen and with the intention to understand what the patient is saying, because your goal is to schedule that appointment. So these are just some of the reasons why we say stop multitasking. Another tip is eat the frog. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the saying, eat the frog, but the idea that eating the frog is the worst thing that could happen to you. So you want to get that task out of the way right away. So my daughter, for example, she's not a big fan of math. So I always tell her, Leona, eat the frog. And so Leona, my daughter's like, oh, that means I got to get my math out of the way, because it's the first thing that you want to tackle and get it over with. So it doesn't take up brain space, right? And so the lesson behind it is that to be successful, you have to take immediate and necessary action, so you're not overthinking too much. Another tip that I like to share too is the Pomodoro technique. It's one of our favorites. It's a great way to fight procrastination and therefore increasing your productivity. So the idea of it is that you work in short bursts throughout the day, and there's a few apps that you can download to help kind of guide you through the Pomodoro technique. So if you think about it, these, it can be challenging when working in a dental office, because there's so many moving pieces, right? And what we're seeing is a lot of teams getting burnout. Another reason why we need to start rethinking the way we run our businesses and find solutions to help support our existing teams so we don't lose them. So, take advantage and delegate and outsource, because change needs to happen. and change is coming if it's not already here. Socrates, my next slide, I put this quote by Socrates.
I'm getting way ahead of myself over here.
Socrates said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Now, let's take a look at history of ATMs. So if you know the story of ATMs, basically in the 1990s when ATMs came out, a lot of people were worried and they were afraid that a lot of tellers were going to lose their jobs. But if you look back at it, quite the opposite happened, right? More bank branches opened up, and more bank branches equals more tellers. And not just that, the roles and the positions that a lot of the tellers changed. A lot of them went into doing more loans and more investment. So we have to think the same way for our dental practice. What are some of the things that we can outsource and so we can free up our team? Can we cross-train our existing team, like our existing assistants and even hygienists, to be treatment coordinators and help close and schedule those big cases? I find that, some of the clients that we work with where the roles switch, they actually closed a lot more cases because now their assistants have stepped into the role of being treatment coordinators because they understand what's happening in the, with the patient's mouth. They understand what's happening with the treatment. Another story I want to share is I have this doctor that I work with. He doesn't have a front office, but she doesn't have a front office. She's very new, been about 6-8 months now working with her. And we told her it's okay because she has a whole team that's there to support her, from treatment planning, calling patients, doing the billing for her. And this is until she hires someone. And so she finally hired someone, and she hired someone that doesn't have experience. And we told her again, that's okay, because we understand how hard it is to find people right now. So we tell her it's okay, hire them, because we're there to help them and coach them and train them on how to schedule appointments, how to talk to patients. And there's situations where sometimes she'll get a call about a patient that's upset about something, and she'll message us in the group chat like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to respond to this patient. So, there's a whole team that's assigned. So whoever is available will hop on. It's like, it's okay, I'm gonna call the patient right now and I'll talk to them myself. And sometimes we'll have her on the call with us so she can hear the conversation, so she can learn. So these are all, perfect examples of how a virtual assistant can help. She couldn't, this doctor could not have done this without a support to get her through it. So yes, we can help train and guide your new team members. One more story. Do I have one more time?
Yes,
More time for another story? Okay. So another story. I love telling these stories. So I promise one more. So we had another client. So he has a small team. He's a really great team. However, there's one staff member on his team that's unfortunately, to the doctor and some of the staff, is very toxic. But they put up with it because they know this one person knows how to do everything, and they kind of control everything in the office. And the rest of the team, they're kind of learning. And this poor doctor, he's telling me all his frustration. And, the thing is, he's afraid to let the toxic team member go because he's afraid of things falling apart, because she's the only one that knows where everything is. She's the only one that knows how to run things. And so he feels like he's held hostage. Now, how many of you know offices like that? Where you have that one toxic team member, but you
Right.
can't go because you're afraid that if you let them go, what am I going to do? So
Right.
we help this doctor, and now I will tell you, they love having their morning huddles. Even the energy, even though we're not there remotely, we can feel the energy from the team, the rest of the team that stayed. Yes, that team member is no longer there, but you can feel the tone. Everything, the energy that the team has in the group chat is completely different. They're a lot more upbeat. They're a lot more, they're in there saying, happy Monday.
Not as grumpy.
Yes, the patient comes in and, they're upset. Some of the patients are just a lot meaner these days, but this team is able to just roll with the punches and just keep it moving. And so these are just a handful of stories that we're sharing. But bring me back to my point that change is coming, especially now with how hard it is to find team members, and especially now with insurance companies, dropping the reimbursement rates. So we have to figure out better ways to cut our overhead costs, and we have to pivot, right? We have to pivot and start making changes to help our practice and help our teams. So I want to give this back to Maria and Nikki. I know I've taken up a lot of time. I'm sure we have a lot of questions out there, so shoot away and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much.
Keep going on and on and on. So
Yeah. I actually was curious what Eat the Frog meant, so I'm really happy you explained it because I know I wasn't able to be part of the earlier presentation. So I'm very happy. So I was actually going to send you a message like, yeah, are you sure that's what you meant to type there? But that is okay.
yes,
So we're good.
Eat the frog.
Yes, I like that. Okay, I like that for moving forward. So we actually do have a question for you guys from Dr. G. Do practices ever have more than one virtual assistant?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I'll take this one, Christina and Melissa. So we, for all our clients, a whole team is assigned to them. We're a big fan of having a backup for our backup. So like I said, we've worked in dental offices and we understand how frustrating it is that you hire someone that you think is going to be awesome. They come on board, you train them, you get them started, and then life happens. They have to move or they have to leave or whatever it is, and then you have to start all over again. So with us, at least with GetVWire, our system is where you have a whole team assigned to your office. So if for some reason Christina has to take the day off, go to a doctor's appointment, she got sick, she has COVID or something, there's always someone in the chat or in that group that's assigned to your office that's there to cover. And not only that, they're already trained. They already know what's going on with the office because they're in the chat. They know what's the conversation that's happening back and forth between our team and the office. So the answer to your question is yes, you can have 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, however many that you need to support your practice. It's definitely doable. Yeah.
That's great. I'm learning a lot tonight about virtual assistants because I thought I knew it all, but I didn't know it all. I'm so glad that you opened my eyes to that. I do have a question from a Dr. M. Dr. M is asking, I'm going to be opening up my practice in several months. Do you offer services to help me prepare? It looks like maybe just paperwork or what have you, and administratively getting my office ready.
Yes, we do. So, we would have a consult. I feel like it's going to be yes for all the questions. But yes, Dr.
Schedule an onboarding call.
We would do an onboarding call. And of course, we would meet with you and figure out what your goals are, so we can kind of plan out what exactly our virtual assistants are in charge of. Accountability is really important. So we want to make sure we have clear guidelines, expectations, and deadlines, because that's how we track our virtual assistants too. And we have this billboard, whiteboard that when we have our team meetings, it's about growth. We always talk about growth mindset. So everyone on our team, we try to encourage everybody growth mindset. So if there's a problem, work together to figure out a solution. But yes, the answer to your question is we can help you set up your new practice. You just guide us on what it is that you're looking to accomplish. And then we can share our experience and what we've learned from other offices.
So
Right.
Dr. Emma actually commented back on that because you said it'd be yes to everything. And I don't know if this one's going to be a yes. He said, will you help me fire my toxic employee?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that question. That's a good one. That's a good one.
You know what? No, I get it. And, I've done it. It's not a fun thing to do. I'm not laughing like, oh yeah, piece of cake, we can do it. It's a very delicate situation. But yes, we have done it where the doctor doesn't feel comfortable doing it. And we try to talk to the doctor and tell them give them all the reasons why. And I'm sure he has or she has all the reasons why she doesn't want to be the one to do it. And that's totally fine. That's kind of the role of office managers, right? And a lot of startups and a lot of new doctors, they don't have office managers. So, we kind of take on that role of being an office manager to make the calls. We even interview your staff. We have a lot of offices that we help with their interviews. So we'll have a couple doctors, she'll send me a message like, hey, can you look at these resumes and tell me what you think? And so the same profile that we use for hiring our teams, we use it for the same way that we hire our clients' team members. And that's another thing too about working with the virtual assistant. A lot of, we hear about a lot of people leaving the industry, right? And Melissa gets resumes left and right all the time through our platform because everyone wants to work remotely. They want, for whatever reasons why they want to work remotely. So that's one of the benefits of working with GetVWire is that now you've got a handful of, you have to worry about like finding candidates. For us, it's just going through our emails, picking somebody, and then going through that interview and that onboarding process to make sure that that person matches the kind of people that we're looking for here at GetVWire.
Okay, well, thanks for that. So I have a Dr. H. You covered the pros. What are some of the cons and limitations of VAs?
That's a great question. So some of the cons that I've experienced, and I'm sure Christina will share some of hers, is that the offices will often give us the slowest computer in the practice.
Oh my gosh. Restart my computer, please, every time.
So that is one of the biggest cons of working remotely is sometimes the doctors will say, okay, I have this 18 or 20 page aging report that I need to tackle by next week. But then the computer they give us is one of the slowest computers. So that's one of the biggest cons. So, it's a little bit of working back and forth with them to say, hey, I can help you. We can certainly get this list done for you, but you have to kind of meet us halfway to get the tools that we need to be able to get your list done. That's one of the cons. The other con, honestly, not much that
I have one.
Okay, Christina has one.
Chart notes. When doctors don't write their chart notes. That one is rough because I need my narratives to send out claims. So that one can be, that could be a con when you want to get something done on time and then you have to wait for the chart notes or the perio charting or stuff like that. So that's a con and a slow computer. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So one of the things that helped, though, I will say it's helped a lot of dental offices, especially the ones that forget to write their chart notes, is because they know that there's no chart notes, your claims don't get paid. So if anything, this helps the teams too, because now they'll see these little pop-ups, depending on where we leave the messages for the teams and the doctors. And I've had a doctor call me the other day and say, I walked in and I saw these red notes on there, and the red notes is really for him. It's because he didn't write his chart notes. So now he tries to stay on top of his chart notes. But, so I look at it as a pro. The doctor might look at it as a con, but yeah.
All right. I have another question from, looks like I'm going to say Sue, if you will. You talked about kind of working like an HR perspective. Basically, do you know about all the HR laws within the United States, or how do you educate yourself on that or being informed with respect to like performance or reviews or feedback or what have you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I personally don't know every HR rule, but like I said earlier, that's where our teams that have the experience with HR come in. And that's the whole idea that we're trying to tell everyone. It's not just about scheduling your appointments. If you have things, if it's HR related, we have a team that's what they specialize is HR. We have a team that their background is from marketing and sales. So if you have some questions about marketing and sales, we can give you some suggestions based on what our team's experience is and then guide you in the right direction. But as far as HR, yes, that's something that we can do. We have a team that takes care of it. And if it's something that doesn't serve your particular state, then we partner up with a lot of different vendors. As we meet, we go to different events and we meet a lot of really great vendors that specialize in HR so we can guide you in a direction and also share some of the experience that our clients have had with those of vendors. So if I hear from one of the clients that, the person that we refer them to didn't work out so well, then, it's just, we start looking for someone else, or we ask why it didn't work out for them. Just like you would if you were referring to a specialist, right? You're referring your patient to a specialist because a specific specialist, because you know how that specialist works and it's been a good relationship. So it's the same thing with us. Yeah, I hope that answered that.
And then another question from Dr. H, is your staff experienced in dental medical billing?
Yes, so we do dental and medical billing too. See, I knew this is going to be a yes.
Yes, Dave.
Yes, you can do it. I'm not going to say that I know every answer to how to do medical billing. Again, that's where you have a team that does it. That's one of the things when we built GetVWire is we wanted to be a full service to where if you ask us, Dr. H, can you do this? I could say, yes, I can do that. I'm going to find somebody that's an expert at this and is great at it. And then all we do is duplicate what they can do. So that way we can offer it to other offices.
All right.
Well, then here's one. I mean, so Wendy had asked, talk about PA and taking over social media accounts.
That's a good one.
Is that possible? And what does that look like on Facebook, Instagram, whatever other social media people use these days? TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, the answer again would be yes. So, whatever it is that you want to set up, if you want them to do I don't know if Melissa wants to take this question on, because that's where she comes in. If somebody in office wants to hire someone just to focus on posting Facebook or Instagram or TikTok videos, then we'll find somebody that can kind of match what the doctor is looking for, because everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
We have some doctors that like more fun videos, more, singing and, I'm not a big TikTok person. But we also have other doctors that only want dental information on there. So it really kind of depends on what it is that you're looking for before we kind of assign someone that can help manage your page. And like I said before, you set the expectations, a list of to-do things that you want them to do, and then we give it to your virtual assistant that's assigned to that task.
What if they don't know how to, what the cadence would be with social media? Is that something that you can help provide them then?
Yes.
Yes.
I can answer that question.
Go for it.
So for that is, I think it's always good to find out what that certain doctor, what they're looking for, because there's always a different type of target market or like the area that they're in, or what they're, what their office is about. And if the doctor doesn't know what they're really looking for in social media, it's always great to ask those type of questions to kind of get an idea or a feel of what their goal is going to be. So, and then there'll be teams that can, assign to that, so.
Great. All right. Any other questions there, Nicole?
It doesn't look like it. I think that is all the questions. So thank you guys so much for answering those and giving us all the yeses we could possibly want in our lives right now.
I guess, my biggest takeaway from
Yeah.
this event, one of my biggest takeaway is that how virtual assistance has actually evolved, and you can actually help also change the culture, meaning from bad to good, or even, add to it, if you will. And the fact is that it sounds like not only, let's say, you help out startups and doctors, like, maybe acquiring their next practice, if you will, but also it seems like you can partner with an existing team, because you said things about burnout,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. You can, have a whole virtual assistant that's all that you're working with, the virtual assistants, or they can be your support staff. And I highly encourage doctors that are kind of on the fence, or even team members that are kind of on the fence, just try it out. Give them one task that it's the frog task that you don't like. Give them that first. Start off with that and see how it works out. I mean, what do you got to lose? So I highly encourage everyone to do it. And I think, like you said, the whole virtual assistant has evolved. And we have to look at, outside of outside of dentistry, there's a lot of companies that use virtual assistant. It's a $1 trillion industry for a reason, because it's in high demand. a lot of companies use it. Why dentistry isn't using it? I'm not sure. So, we're excited and we're grateful, to you and Nikki and the entire CareStack team for having us on here so we can cover these topics, because these are important topics that we need for our businesses. So.
Right. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Medina, Melissa, and Christina, so much for being here this evening. We appreciate it.